I don't feel that panels do what panelists think they do. It's just this guy gets a platform and gets to sit here and look smug and spew bigotry and spew stupid shit. And then this person is probably gonna feel very bad about the shit that she's hearing. She's probably gonna feel like less of a person. Like, hey, I know that this person is probably gonna make you feel like less of a person, but it's imperative that you come on this panel and that we all, you know, come to a different understanding. Fuck this, okay? Panels make me so fucking angry.
Your kids are going to be talking about is going to be more psychological stuff.
So views now,
also, this is Fanatic, the guy. This is the black guy is the guy who's hosting the panel. He believes that we should bring prayer back into schools. I've debated him on All Black Everything. He believes we should bring prayer back into schools, and I'm surprised he's not like interrupting. I'm surprised he's being quiet because usually he thinks he's the leading expert on every fucking situation and will literally mansplain even to other men things that that he thinks he's correct in, while also maintaining the idea that we should bring prayer back into schools. By the way, just so you know, just so you know.
Ladies and gentlemen,
sounds like a centrist POV. Yeah, like, and we know, and we know, everybody knows how I feel about centrists. I can't stand centrists. Erudite is center left. I can stand her. Not the biggest fan, but I can stand her. I could listen to her content, and not want to frickin' off myself. Wick, this guy right here, Depth of Certainty. From the way in which I've interacted with him and the things I've heard him say, honestly, base dude. All right, I don't know if he's a lefty. I think honestly he might be right leaning, but I don't know. In my opinion, he's an all right dude. Taft, center right. Not a huge fan, but I have empathy and I can understand. I can understand how this piece of shit, Zen Shapiro, is probably gonna make her feel. I don't know who this guy is. I have no idea who this guy is. And I have no idea who this guy is, but I've seen him before. And I have no idea who this guy is.
If my son or daughter comes home telling me they're a unicorn, and I say, no, you're a human being, and that is classified as abuse. I didn't get that.
They don't just say, hey.
Oh my god. Is this going to be a panel of like half transphobes, half non-transphobes? Oh my god. At this point, listen, okay? I've said this, I'm maintaining it, okay? I'm maintaining this point of view, okay? And I don't give a fuck what anybody says about me for saying this. The way in which politics have shifted over the past couple years, the drastic way in which politics have shifted in America over the past couple years, if you still hold on to bigotry, you are a problem. And it is not up to the rest of us to fix that problem for you.
You're not this. They also bring them to conversion therapy. They also engage in other forms of mental and emotional, gaslighting.
If a 15-year-old comes up to you, they're kind of shaking and nervous, and they're like, hey, Dad, just, I think I'm actually a girl. And you say, no, you're not. You're a boy. How do you think that's going to make your kiddo feel, right? And this is your kid that you're talking about, because this is what parents...
It's not about how they feel. It's about what is true.
See what I mean? See what I fucking mean? Like, that's the kind of guy. That guy is the kind of guy... That's the kind of guy, all right? That's the kind of guy who believes that he owns his fucking children. That's the kind of guy who believes that children are property.
Everybody loves mushrooms. Your parents loved them in the 70s.
How many times am I gonna... Your parents loved them in the 70s. That's funny. How many times am I gonna see this fucking commercial?
This is mud water.
Okay, listen, thank you guys so much for being guests on this Fanatic Show panel, presented to you by myself and Pedro. We work really, really hard.
I unfollowed a creator that said they can excuse racism and homophobia of Chick-fil-A for some waffle fries. Yeah, fuck that shit. Yeah, I absolutely unfollow that motherfucker. Like, literally, I had Chick-fil-A maybe the last time, at the beginning of me and Paige's relationship, and then we both decided we are no longer eating Chick-fil-A ever again. We were like, you know what? We can't support this company because they're actively anti-gay. Yeah, even if they are queer. Because see, here's the thing. I don't follow black people who say anti-black shit. I actively distance myself from black people who say anti-black shit. Doesn't matter to me if they're black. Doesn't matter to me if they're queer. If you say some shit that is anti a marginalized group and you mean that shit, I'm not fucking with you. I don't give a fuck if you're a member of that marginalized group. I'm not fucking with you. Bye. Like that's me. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it. Because, for instance, Candace Owens, Blair White. I'm pretty sure Blair White eats at Chick-fil-A regularly to spite gays. That seems in character of Blair White. Okay? That seems well in character.
Hard behind the scenes to get these things together, because our goal is to make something that's actually worthwhile and leads to really good conversation. I want to address this to the audience really quickly, do our openers, and then we're going to get into the first topic. Okay, so the goal of the Fanatic Show.
I don't think we're going to watch this entire thing, but we're going to watch a little bit of it. It is 3 hours fucking long, and I don't think I want to sit through this shit for 3 fucking hours.
Is to discuss these issues in good faith and have the difficult conversations with composure and decency. I've carefully instructed all of the guests.
You can't do that when you have fucking bigots on your fucking panel. You can't fucking do that when you actively have bigots on your show. You just can't, because they're not there to do that. They're there to just get a platform and spew their bigotry. Oh no, you're right. The paradox of tolerance is relevant. It is relevant. But from being too tolerant, we can find ourselves. Well, hold on. Unlimited tolerance must lead to the disappearance of tolerance. Yeah, exactly. If we extend unlimited tolerance even to those who are intolerant, if we are not prepared to defend a tolerant society against the onslaught of the intolerant, then the tolerant will be destroyed and the tolerance with them. Exactly.
To be their greater and higher selves and bring the ideas to the front as opposed to entertainment grabs, cheap shots, and content farming. On every occasion but one.
Cheap shots and content farming, but he has an open fucking transphobic bigot on his panel.
Been able to facilitate good conversation from all.
Like, honestly, where's the bar? Where is the bar? What's the standard to get on these shows, to be barred from these shows, from these panels and from these shows? Do you have to like wear a swastika armband? Is that what it has to be? Does the bigotry have to literally be smacking these people in the fucking face in order for them to not platform fucking bigots? Like, where the fuck is the bar? Where is it? Where's the bar? Is it in hell? Because that's what it looks like. It looks like it's in fucking hell.
For guests. I believe we'll be able to do that today. I hope you leave your thinking hats on and your hearts open as we tackle this topic as best as we can. Our opening topic is...
No, I'm closed-minded as fuck!
About the legislation regarding the trans issues. So recently, we've seen a wave of...
Yeah, we need to hear all sides. Yeah, we need to hear all sides. No, the fuck I don't. Based. I mean, that brings up a very valid question, right? About like, should Nazis or bigots even be able to vote? Like, right, Nazis. Who are they going to vote for? Probably a Nazi.
the bills dubbed.
But of course, there's no way of like actually legislating that. Like, you know what I mean? In that case, it's like, how do I put it? How do I put it? When you give the government that much power, they never know how to use it correctly. The government never knows how to use its power correctly, especially the U.S. government. Fuck, they're so stupid. That is true. That is true. But see, the FBI won't do that because half the FBI is the fucking KKK. So.
As anti-trans passed in various states. While some view these as evidence of transphobia in right-leaning spaces in legislature, others see this as a response to the serious overreach by left-leaning advocates which have violated the rights of parents. Recently, the Florida bill, erroneously... Which
is wrong. He hasn't violated the rights of parents. You don't own your fucking kid. I don't care what anybody says. You don't own your fucking kid. You don't own your fucking kid. You are there to guide them into fucking adulthood. You're not there to fucking... They're not there to be a chip off the old block and to be a piece of you through, that survives history and live in a way in which for you to live through them. You're not fucking Voldemort, okay? You're not fucking Scar or... What's another villain that like lives through their fucking child or incarnation? You're not the fucking Avatar. He's not a villain, but you're not the fucking Avatar. Like, shut the fuck up. These are useless conversations that we're having, by the way. These are very useless conversations. Anti-trans legislature is bad. Period. It is bad. We don't have to debate on it. It's fucking bad.
The bill was called transphobic and overbearing to trans people. The bill seems to directly address issues found at Madison Elementary School and MMSD, which I think is Madison something school district. Here are 2 links regarding these issues, and as noted in the second one, this is something that will be reviewed by the Wisconsin court. So I've kind of instructed everyone to kind of read those things, and just to fill in the audience very briefly, there was a case in which a trans teacher was wanted to use the student's bathroom as it was close to her class. It was a trans woman, and she wanted to use the same bathroom as the students, and the school issued a statement that teachers would be required to use the bathrooms, or that teachers would be encouraged to use the bathrooms, the staff bathrooms. She called this transphobic, but then upon further review, that unearthed some things that were happening in the district, such as staff and teachers being encouraged to not inform parents of their students, of their children's gender dysphoria, trans identities, or anything.
I don't really see a problem with that. Like a teacher going to using the bathroom with like, actually, I don't have a problem with a teacher going into a bathroom of the gender that they identify as. Maybe just because you never know, right? With teachers, not even talking about transgender, I'm talking about teachers in general, right? Maybe teachers should just have to use staff bathrooms, but they just would be required to use. You can use whatever bathroom you want as long as it's a staff bathroom. Does that make sense? Like, how do y'all feel about that? I look at y'all for like advice and shit all the time. Like, personally, I feel like in that case it's fine, but I feel like no teacher should be able to go into like student bathrooms necessarily. But also I feel like that's kind of stupid. I also feel like that's like kind of stupid. Yeah, like I feel like that's how it's been done, right? And like if it's bad and if it's something that needs to be changed, maybe it's bad and it needs to be changed. But I don't see a problem with it. I was saying that teachers should not be able. Teachers and students should have to use separate bathrooms, basically. But I also can't really think of like a problem. Like, is a teacher really gonna be touching a kid in the bathroom or what have you? Like, especially if there's like a bathroom with like a bunch of kids can be in it anyway. Like, if anything, I'm more scared for the teacher in the bathroom than I am for the kids in the bathroom. But like, I think teachers should be able to use whatever bathroom they want. Like, whatever gender that they identify as, but as long as it's a staff bathroom. But again, I can't think of like an actual like tangible good argument with any sort of data that would that would say that like, oh yeah, teachers definitely can't go into the same bathrooms as like their students or what have you. It's like, it just seems foolish to me. It just seems like another foolish talking point, honestly. Like, oh, okay. So maybe we should separate the bathrooms based off of like kids and teachers, because that's the thing too. Is like teachers don't even need bathrooms to deal with kids. They do it in the middle of the fucking classroom in some cases. But it's not trans teachers. Teachers should have separate bathrooms. I have had teachers at my school being horrible. We had a teacher marry a student. Okay, yeah. Like I'm saying, like teachers. I don't even think teachers need bathrooms to diddle kids. They'll do it in the middle of the fucking classroom. Like,
of those things, and even going a step further as to deceive the parents by intentionally using the original pronouns and original name of the children while in private using gender dysphoria affirming or.
You had to correct yourself to Marry. Yeah. That wasn't very merry of her, was it? Yeah, don't diddle kids, folks. It's no good diddling kids. But you know who's not diddling kids? Trans people. Be like trans people. Don't diddle children. Some of our teachers would be at the parties. Yeah, that's like kind of weird. That's kind of weird.
Pronouns and names. And so this is where the lawsuit comes in, and I'm hoping that all of the guests will be able to engage in that conversation. And I guess we can kind of suss this out. So I'd like to start with April Taftash. Thank you for being on the show, and can you please give us kind of your opening statement regarding this topic?
Yeah, so when it comes to the wave of legislation regarding LGBT issues, I think you sort of have to take it
Never mind. I'm just like task
bill
me.
by bill. We've discussed the Florida bill here previously, and I think there are good parts of it, and I think there are bad parts of it. I think that one of the problems is just like the vagueness of language and how it allows parents to sue the school on the school's dime, which can create a chilling effect. In regards to the specific case they're talking about, in regards to the teachers using students' bathrooms, it sounds to me like more of an infrastructure problem. The article mentioned all teachers, all teachers using like the students' bathrooms just because they were closer, and how.
Look at Erudite's chat, if you can see it. Look at Erudite's chat. Killjolts. Oh no, not Zen. That guy is terrible. I'm dead. He hasn't even spoken yet, and everybody's like, "Oh, not everybody, but there's a dude in chat that's like, oh no, not this guy, no, not this guy."
The school didn't have a lot of infrastructure
Somebody said, "Good luck, y'all. Hoping this is a productive combo." It's not going to be.
For faculty. I think the easy solution here is to invest in that kind of infrastructure that allows faculty to use bathrooms that are not shared by the students. So I think I don't know.
Yeah, a lot of the people on this panel are relatively small creators. All of them have bigger platforms than me on Twitch, though. But I'm pretty certain, at least. But for the most part, like, these are small creators.
Clearly, it blew up because there was this trans teacher that was using the bathroom that students were. But presumably, well, the article mentions the cis women teachers doing the same. And presumably, the male teachers were also doing the same for the men's restroom. So I think that might be a simple case of just getting better infrastructure. But yeah, we'll get into the nitty gritty of the specific bills in the discussion portion.
Next, we have thank you very much. Next, we have a late ad who was Wick. I hope you did your research. Can you please give us your opener, please?
Oh, certainly. When it comes to the Wisconsin incident, that is something that's currently being litigated still, as far as I can understand. And from what I could find, I don't think there's been a verdict rendered in that as yet. So I'm going to focus a little bit on the Florida side of things, if that's okay. So with the recent bill in Florida, I have two problems with this bill. So it comes down to enforcement and phrasing. And when it comes to the Florida bill, they use the phrase, and you'll see this pop up again and again, prudent person. And they use this in replace of the more common reasonable person. And why does this matter? It's because we have a large weighted precedent that weighs in on and defines what a reasonable person is, when we talk legality. And we have far less of that when it comes to prudent person. This, combined with the vague language of the bill in and of itself, leads me to believe, and I think a reasonable person could believe, that this is going to be specifically targeted at certain minority groups. And while they may have used the flashpoint, and I think there are very real issues with mandated reporting and things like that, but this bill isn't the way to tackle that. If we have issues with how mandated reporting is done, we can address those policies on a local level, first of all, school board by school board, and second of all, we can address those policies specifically because, again, they have a weighted precedent behind them. I worry that the enforcement as well of this bill.
Somebody said Zen Shapiro has a TikTok face. Is he on TikTok? Hold on. Is he on TikTok? Should we ratio him on TikTok? No, I looked up Zen Shapiro, and all I found was a black version of Ben Shapiro's face. That's all I found. That's really fucking funny. That's really fucking funny.
Will be used in such a way to target minority communities, and that is just a concern I have when it comes to that. But yeah, we'll get into it, and I'm eager to hear what everyone has to say. So thank you.
Okay, thank you so much for that. And it wasn't very long-winded, so I appreciate that as well. Zen Shapiro.
Hey, yeah, thanks for having me on. So I'm not entirely well versed on this topic specifically, but I'll give my insight on what I do know.
He's not very well versed on this topic, but watch. I bet you he's gonna give you a take that's gonna be completely fucking wrong.
Regarding teachers using children's bathrooms or students' bathrooms, I don't think it's actually that big a deal. Ironically, being that I'm a conservative, I don't think it actually matters whether teachers and students are using the same bathrooms as long as the individual stalls are private. I could care less. Really, I don't think that's a relevant issue to talk about. But the Don't Say Gay bill, what I would say about that is, for what we have, given the infrastructure that we do have with so many people attending public schools, and even though I don't really support public school, I support homeschooling. If we are to have a public school infrastructure, then it's good to restrain the students from being taught about sexuality in general at such a young age. So if the limit is third grade, where we're able to talk about sexuality, gender identity, homosexuality, whatever it may be, I'd say that's a step in the right direction. Ideally, I wouldn't want schools teaching kids about sex regardless, because I think public school systems do a really bad job teaching kids about everything, for that matter.
So this motherfucker, and it's always from privileged motherfuckers like this. They're like, oh, I don't like public school. We should only do homeschooling and everything, right? It's like, maybe, or private school. Maybe we should just fix the public school system. Maybe we should make it to where you actually learn shit in public school instead of just learning how to be, an American fucking stooge. Maybe you could actually learn something in public school. Maybe.
And I think, given the paradigm that of the LGBT agenda and how it's so overreached in our society to where basically everybody is in favor.
Even though LGBTQ people are not running around and like killing fucking straight people or anything just for being straight. The exact opposite is happening. This guy thinks that the LGBTQ plus community is overstepping and overreaching. Conservatives always think this. They always think that the LGBTQ plus community is overstepping and overreaching for some weird reason.
Of some form of LGBT or identifies as some form of LGBT themselves. Typically, that starts that starts from a young age. So they start to target children, and I think this is another tactic to target children if you are upset about the Don't Say Gay bill for that reason. So I think it comes down.
Ironically, Synth is going to be our furthest left.
But essentially, I think
arguer,
if we're going to have public
based
schools,
on what I've seen.
If we're going to have public school system,
Who's going to be the furthest left arguer? What?
and they're going to say don't teach young kids about
Pedro, I
sexuality,
believe,
I'll
is fully
support that,
nodding,
though I don't think
and
it goes quite
Wyman, I
far
think,
enough.
is conservative as well.
All right, thank you so much. Grimace, hope you did your homework. You were also a late ad. What's your take?
No, I didn't. I'm just winging it off the top of my head. No, the Don't Say Gay bill, I do have an issue with the ambiguity, but I never see anybody talking about the actual cause or the reaction that the bill was to what was actually getting taught in school to children. And I think as soon as parents, especially conservative parents, get wind of that, they're going to do their best to get legislation passed, not have these crazy things taught to their kids. And
If you're not well versed on the topic, there is a simple solution. Don't speak on it, or do some research on it before you do. This is a panel, okay? Typically the people who go on these panels are not smart, okay? They just think they're smart, and they have a platform, so they go on panels and they blabber, okay? Who gives a fuck, all right? Hell no, ban homeschooling. This is coming from someone who was homeschooled and definitely didn't want to be. Yeah, honestly, ban homeschooling.
the way this bill is formulated. With
Don't forget, I'm about to be married to an educator. And she tells me all the time, homeschooling is bad. It's incredibly bad for kids.
like I said, with a bunch of people mentioned,
Lighting change.
they built a tool now to
I think Pedro was a
probably
full
go a little too
this
far,
time,
probably
so, yeah.
discriminate where there doesn't need to be discrimination. And I think it's on like Dems, especially coming into midterms.
Somebody said, I can tell this is going to be bad. Yeah, exactly. There are some, honestly, from what I've seen in Erudite's chat versus Taft's chat, Erudite actually has some like semi-intelligent people in her chat. I don't like a lot of her audience, but she has some semi-intelligent people in there tonight. I'm surprised.
Address this problem properly instead of just like reacting negatively just because like the issue at hand is trans. Have more of a level-headed
That is my channel.
at what the problem was addressing in the first place.
Thanks, Contrast.
That's what I like to talk about today, not just whatever. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very brief. Pedro.
Yeah. So I got tagged in pretty late here, literally like I think 10 minutes before this. So I'm gonna am going to be winging it. But I think usually always this comes down to a problem of perception. And in order to solve this problem, we're all going to have to be adults and be able to look at something that lies within internally all of us. It's called a noetic structure. It is a grid of beliefs that are compiled of stories and experiences that work and interlock together to form what you will call your worldview. Your worldview dictates how you interpret information and how you use that information to interact with the world. In this situation, they're
so proud of just winging it. Yeah, they're so proud of just winging it. You know, trans people and your rights and your lives and everything. These people are so proud to just wing it. You know, they're like, oh yeah, we're just gonna. Yeah, it's just trans people. It's not like it's anybody that matters. Like white babies.
Specifically, what I'm going to try and do is look into the world lens of pretty much secularism and give you the radical solution to all of this that Zen noted on a little bit, which is particularly who cares? Why should I care about the school district system, period, when he said it off the bat, Zen, I want you to pull your kids into homeschool. The ultimate thing is this: you are wasting your time and energy going to these school boards, making these fantastic speeches. That's awesome. When you could be spending time working within your community amongst each other and forming your own little school system amongst your own parents that you trust have the same worldviews as you. Now, obviously, I'd be Christian, but if you are a secular person out there who think it's bad to send your daughter home,
I really can't stand Christians. Christians put themselves on such a high fucking horse, and they're always like, everybody, ha, look at you, you're not Christian, well, you're led astray. And it's like, bro, you can't even convince me that your God exists, home dog. Like, what the fuck? Like, who's astray here? You can't even prove your fucking God exists, bro. Like,
or to school, sorry, and you don't want them to be interacting with a man calling himself a woman in the bathroom, well, that's kind of on you. You sent them to that world. You could also...
It's not that you sent them to that world. That's what the world fucking is, you fucking dumbass. All of you people. Like, oh, you fucking dumbasses. Well, not all of them. Wick is not a dumbass. But, like, you fucking dumbasses, okay? Like, this is what fucking happens in the fucking world. I'm sorry. You can't, even if you live in the fucking Bible Belt, you're still gonna find some brave trans person who lives in the Bible Belt who's not afraid to show the fact that they're trans because they're probably big enough to beat up every Christian motherfucker, every pastor in the fucking district or some shit, in the fucking county or whatever. Like, regardless of whether you don't want your opponent, I almost said opponent, I don't know why. Regardless of whether or not you want your kids to see it, the fact of the matter is, it is something that exists. It exists in this world. If you don't teach your kids about it, they're going to go out into the world and they're not going to be able to fucking cope with it. Okay? But these people don't want to do that, and these people know that, so they try to legislate it.
Taking a piece of the Christian ethical system,
to
which
show
is
my left
we
colors.
take care of our own.
This is kind of exciting. Usually I don't get to be left.
You should always be left, Erudite. You should always be fucking left.
That has a curriculum that's totally secular and still gives them the basics of reading, writing, basic, sciences. What's up? That's up. Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much. not so erudite. This is my very first time having you on the panel, and I don't think I actually was able to have a pre-production interview with you as an individual. I hope you're able to read the room and recognize what the intent here is, and acclimate to the environment that we've created here.
The intent here is to just spread transphobia and let bigots just be bigots. At least that's what it looks like. I can't tell the difference.
Give your opening take.
Yeah, I'll just be super, super brief. I think the issue with the school teacher specifically, Ms. Mixed Deal, I believe is her preferred title, is it highlights kind of two major issues that I thought about. Number one, which is that I think in the online, particularly politically left sphere, we somewhat take for granted that like trans rights and transphobia is kind of an understood concept. And I think this issue highlights the fact that when we get into offline spheres, working classes and stuff, this is obviously not the case. And I think there's actually a lot of work that needs to still be done for trans advocacy. Overall, basically, and this highlighted it to me based on the parental response and whatnot to certain trans needs. Second of all, I think it also raises really important questions when it comes to trans advocates of which.
Bro, somebody's shitting on erudite in Taft's what's it called? Chat. Same with like somebody said, oh yeah, forgot she was gonna be on here. Really don't like her or the way she talks. Female Lance from the Serfs. What?
Things do they want to prioritize in their advocacy? Do they want to be prioritizing bathrooms, or do they want to be prioritizing other things that might improve trans lives? And I think just there's space to have this conversation and really focus in on what we care about.
Okay, thank you so much. That was pretty brief. Synth, you were last, but definitely not least. I'm pretty sure hearing all those takes before you allows you to go. After Synth gives his thing, anyone can feel free to respond to anything that has already been previously said, and we'll hope the conversation proceeds organically from there. And I'll only step in if necessary. Synth?
Sure. All right. So I'd actually disagree with the idea that the Madison school teacher situation is a strong link to the Don't Say Gay bill. The Madison school teacher seems to be almost intentionally provoking sort of reaction for the sake of crying foul. I think she's weird for it. I don't think it's sexual like some people are making it. But the case is pretty clear. Teachers aren't supposed to be using student bathrooms at all at those schools, and they're able to use whatever teachers' bathrooms they feel comfortable with. That seems like a pretty great policy for a school to have. She's pretty clearly weaponized.
Here's another thing that I really hate about this, is that, like, I actually kind of agree with that. Like, we agree with it, right? But, like, I feel like all of these, and this is what I've said, and I've said this to Erudite before, is that we focus on the wrong situations. We focus on situations that don't need to have any sort of, like, air brought to them, don't really need to be focused on at all, and we need to focus on the fact that transgender people are being fucking murdered for the fact that they're being fucking trans. Everything else, we can cross those bridges, burn them when we get to them. But right now, we need to focus on protecting transgender people. That's it. That's really fucking it. Okay? But when you give air and give, you know, I guess, attention to issues like this, where it's clear teachers should not be using student bathrooms, like, you know, like they shouldn't be using student bathrooms with reasons that we've discussed here already. Like, when you give so much, like, of an emphasis, basically what I'm saying is, I don't think this needed to be a fucking debate panel. I don't think there needed to be a debate panel about this shit. I really don't. I really, like, yeah, I came into this kind of like, I don't really know, but at the same time, I knew in the back of my head, this does not need to be debated. It really doesn't. Or at least, it does not need to have be a part of a 3-hour-long conversation between people, whoever these people are. Like, it just was not needed, in my opinion. Just was not fucking needed.
Identity politics as a shield, which the Don't Say Gay bills are without a doubt also doing, just in reverse. The bills are a muzzle on free speech and prevent the teaching of pretty conventional social science, such as the social science surrounding the norms around being a man and a woman, not for any sort of practical purpose, but just to further a culture war.
Wait, hold on.
Wait, was that, like, actually one of the best takes that somebody gave on this panel already? Like, huh?
Sorry, I thought I was gonna let everyone respond, just to be sure. Were you guys able to read the Supreme Court case and what the claims were from the lawyers regarding that?
Mm-hmm.
Do you not see any correlation between those claims from
Like, am I wrong for saying that this particular subject that they're talking about right now really does not need to be talked about, or really does not need to have this much time dedicated to it? Honestly, like I feel like the right side of the political spectrum always focuses on the worst aspects, the worst like fringe aspects, the stupidest shit. It's the same thing with the it's the same thing that happened with like the whole anti-SJW movement, right? They always focused on like the dumbest, the most low-hanging fruit, and it worked to really galvanize people against being social justice warriors, against being advocates for change. It really worked because too many people gave attention to shit that didn't need to be given attention to. Again, don't talk to me about left-wing agendas when trans people are fucking being murdered and left in ditches. Don't fucking talk to me about left-wing agendas, okay? Don't fucking talk to me about that shit. I don't want to fucking hear it. I'm not even trans, and I don't want to fucking hear that shit. Yeah, it should be open shut. Adults shouldn't use the same bathroom as those they have authority over. And in schools, you definitely have authority over children. Like, this just did not need. And then like, these are the same people that say, well, the left does this, that, and the other. And you're sitting there like, an actual lefties, we're all sitting here like, what the fuck are you talking about? Well, there was this one thing that happened here in this one little county that nobody's ever fucking heard of, where this person who was a lefty or who was a trans person did this one thing that was completely stupid. And it's like, yeah, the reason why nobody's heard of it is because it's fucking stupid. And everybody else seems to agree that it's fucking stupid and that it's not worth giving any sort of like airtime. This shit pisses me off. This is the same shit. This is the same kind of conversation I got into with Erudite and people in her server when they were like, feminism doesn't do anything to solve the problems of men. I'm like, and it's like feminism only serves to shit on men and shit like that. I'm like, yeah, that's because you're giving time to TERFs. You're giving time to women who just hate men. They don't actually want feminism, and I bet you if you were to talk to these TERFs, they probably hate black women too. Like, they don't like you give credence and you give a platform and give attention. That's the word I was looking for. You give attention. We keep giving attention to the wrong people. And as a result, we blow these situations and these things that don't really need to be talked about. We blow them out of proportion and make them way bigger than they actually are. Like, for instance, how every dude that's anti-feminism is like afraid of false rape allegations and shit, even though like statistics and shit show us that like false rape allegations only account for like 0.1% of like rapes or some shit, if not less than that. Like, false rape accusations only happen like 0.1% of the time or some shit. Like, but because that's been blown out of proportion by anti-feminists, there are literal dudes out here who think that women are always falsely reporting rapes and are just accusing random dudes of raping them because they looked at them funny or some shit. Like, and it doesn't do anything to solve these actual problems. I really wish people would understand when a problem is important and when it's just not something, and when it's just something that's just open and shut and does not need to be talked about. But for some fucking odd reason, people don't understand that. And these types of people don't fucking understand that. And I don't know why. I don't want to listen to any more of this. Just the opening statements were enough. I'm good. I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to listen to this anymore. We'll look up. We'll look at some more Ben Shapiro shit.